Any questions?
All right, any questions?
So y'all, I was Snapchat Queen and AI chatbot friends, and right now I just jumped on to the city council meeting that is live. It's February 23rd, 2026. Let's see what they're talking about with these houses.
Mr. Kelly.
How is that expected to affect traffic?
The project, the 192 multifamily units, that's going through site plan review. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure where that review is, but it is being reviewed by DOT.
All right. Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Second. Hold on.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Excuse me.
Hold on.
Go ahead, man. Pardon me.
All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now open. Anyone here to speak in favor of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
No, you see they are looking for more apartment units, right? So we're seeing how much acres they're clearing and how much money this is going to cost the city. She's already asking about traffic, right? Because every time you walk out the traffic, the local community and the pedestrians are not protected with rushing traffic and the lights. I mean, the lights here coming out of the local community will literally hold you there about 5 minutes. Let's continue to listen to how they've came into our government and took over the government and how they're buying up Greenville using the government.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Paul Meter. I'm with Rivers and Associates. I'm a landscape architect there. I'm here on behalf of the owners and the developers of this property to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. Any questions? Sina, thank you very much. Anyone else that'd like to speak in favor of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes. Seeing none, those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. First person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
Now, you have to be aware how City Council now is dealing with them coming in, rezoning our local community. And I told y'all.
Seeing none, the motion is the public hearing is closed. Open for board discussion or motion.
I am also concerned about the traffic. We had a discussion about this when we changed the
Keep your eyes on her.
The zoning. The zoning. Thank you very much, Michael. But I think it's a good project, and it's in character with the rest of that part of the city. So I'll share those concerns with the traffic that keeps coming up over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. But if there's no other discussion, I'd like to make a motion to approve. Second.
All right.
I'm so sorry, Councilmember Jones.
No, I did. I want to also agree with you about the traffic, and that's one of the questions that I have been asking, because even just traffic now coming up 43 by B's Barbecue with that hill, it is somewhat dangerous trying to pull out of B's. So I do hope that is something that we really do consider looking at the traffic. Maybe a stop light, some lights, and some other stuff.
All right. Any other comments or? All right. So motion was made by Councilmember Scully, second by Councilmember Robinson. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right. We'll move on to other items of business.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Item number 2, memorandum of understanding and agreement between Greentown Properties Incorporated and the City of Greenville for the development of the East Carolina Research and Innovation Campus. I'll now call for our Assistant City Attorney, Scott Dixon, for the presentation.
I don't know if I can top Chris. He got, a second motion on that?
Mayor and Council, quickly before Mr. Dixon speaks, I just wanted to inform Council that Councilmember Seth Hardy approached me about this matter, and I recommend that he disclose that he had a prior internship with the subcontractor for this project, T.A. Loving Construction. He no longer works for that subcontractor and will not receive any financial benefit from this contract. Based on my review of the applicable law, he has no conflict of interest, and I recommend that he vote, and he plans to vote on this item.
All right.
All right, I think all of you guys are pretty familiar with this, and it really buttresses the conversation I think you guys were just having in the workshop about the cooperation of local entities. So we've been referring to it as the Intersect East Project, but it's the East Carolina Research and Innovation Campus. It's a coalition partnership between East Carolina University, the county, the city of Greenville, and GUC. The GUC and the county have already approved basically an identical agreement, so that's kind of out there. All right, so the Innovation Campus is a redevelopment project within Greenville's Warehouse District. It is a public-private partnership between ECU and community and regional entities. It is a collaboration within West Greenville Qualified Census Tract. It is intended to create an urban hub focusing on economic development, including job creation, research, development, and education, business growth, and workforce development. Qualified census tract is defined as a severely distressed area where significant portions of households have either low incomes, specifically incomes below 60% of the area's average median income, or a poverty rate of 25% or more. That is significant for the tax credits that are going to kind of be at play here. This is an overall map of everything where you can kind of see the layout. I think you guys have all seen this, but it's a good visual display. Phase 1, which has already been completed, includes the development of the industrial warehouse. That was building A. The High Street Yale currently occupies about 54.5 square feet of industrial warehouse. The Apogee occupying building J, and there's a confidential tenant occupying building I. You can kind of see a layout here. I think we have to give Mr. Manager the credit for the arrows. I am not that adept at PowerPoint.
There's no way.
Phase 2 will be the next phase. This includes development of the historic Prisory building, which was building H, and includes removal of the hammock building, building B. Again, you can see those arrows pointing. Phase 2 will include development of a digital transformation center, commercial office space, light industrial space, and incubator space for research development, business and economic development, workforce development, and nonprofit operations, relocation of Pitt County Economic Development and Greenville, Eastern North Carolina Alliance. Phase 2 will also include facilitating growing Eastern North Carolina economy by expanding access to rural economic development, workforce development, community development, education and marketing. There is potential for AI and virtual reality training facility that closely aligns with the vision of being a hub for workforce development, education, and employment. The funding sources will be a combination of private equity, federal historic tax credits, North Carolina Mill historic tax credits, federal new market tax credits, and bank debt financing. As previously mentioned, the following community partners have formed a coalition to provide support of Phase 2 of the project: East Carolina University, the County of Pitt, the City of Greenville, Greenville Utilities Commission, and as we kind of reiterated, all the agreements are the same. They mirror each other kind of exactly for the most part, with the commitments all being the same and all contingent on all the entities going forward with the project. Each member of the coalition agrees to appropriate up to $150,000 per year for 5 years to support the project. The coalition support will be used to spur economic development within the census tract, i.e. job creation, research development, business growth, workforce development. Each coalition member will enter into an agreement.
Now, mind you, I'm showing you things from Bring Home America Now Coalition that I've been working with for quite a while. And notice that the things that he's talking about is the whole exact business plan to Bring America Home Now Coalition, where we was working on these exact projects that he's talking about, and they're using it for profit in the city. That's why I showed you Sean Diddy Combs, and this his girl in the background. That's East Carolina taking my business plan, using it against me, while they have me outside homeless, while they're taking my business plan, using it for this college.
Agreement with Greentown Properties Incorporated. Greentown Properties Incorporated is a subsidiary affiliate. It's kind of the nonprofit wing of the ECU Foundation.
Now, mind you, everything is going back to them trying to take over this local community using this East Carolina University College, right? You notice they're clearing out our land down here, using infrastructure money to justify it. They're partnering with different partners, and this is how New York, because I'm dealing with Safe Section 9, they're closing down projects in New York right now, family. So the people from New York is running down here seeking asylum. These are all New Yorkers and people who are coming from those states, rushing North Carolina to turn North Carolina Black Democrat. Black Democrat, this is what we're dealing with, because you got to realize when they talk about race, they're not just talking about the race as if you're black. They're talking about their culture, which comes with multiple races, right? So that's why you see the white folks talking in the place of the people who are colored like I am. Let's continue to listen. I own the rights to the audio or video of this, but this is very important that you're paying attention to how they're coming in North Carolina, taking over North Carolina, using this on this city council. I'm going to leave a link so y'all can listen to it in more detail because I don't want to get flagged. But this is what they're doing with North Carolina right now with the asylum.
They kind of manage all the property. And the timeline for the completion of Phase 2, they anticipate close financing Q2 of 2026, commence construction Q2 2026, complete construction in Q1 2028, and coalition support of the project will not begin until completion of Phase 2, i.e. issuance of the certificate of occupancy. City support of the project is contingent on successful completion of that Phase 2 and approved support of all the coalition members, ECU, County of Pitt, and GC. Again, I think the only one we'd be waiting on currently is ECU, but I think they're sure to approve it as well. Following agreement is being presented tonight for consideration. The agreement between the City of Greenville and Greentown Properties Incorporated. The ask is that you approve the agreement between the City of Greenville and Greentown Properties Incorporated contingent upon ECU, the County of Pitt, and GUC approval of the agreement with Greentown Properties Incorporated under the same terms and authorize the city manager to negotiate any additional terms necessary that are in the best interest of the city and are not inconsistent with the intent of this request and execute said agreement and other documents. I would suggest saying as stated rather than reading that entire thing. And if there's any additional questions, I believe Stephanie Coleman from ECU deserves a monster shout out. I didn't see her unless she snuck in through the back door. She is here.
No, while he giving shout outs, now I pulled up this right here. This is Safe Section 9, which is dealing with the housing in New York. What they're doing is they're trying to come down here through New York because their projects have closed down up there in New York and bringing it down here because it's cheaper to live in North Carolina than New York, Texas, and Florida, and Baltimore. So this is their people who have came in at the at-large. That's why I showed you Miss Patricia. She's running with the at-large, right, where they bought a seat for her to be there. That will be Sean Diddy Combs and his crew buying her a seat to be here through Black Lives Matter using the college.
It would be her, and we have representatives for the developer, Evans Moorville, if you have any specific questions or concerns. And that's as fast as I can get through that for you guys.
All right, any questions?
And of course, there's probably no questions for them. They're going to approve because they've all been sitting there waiting on them. Pay attention to this young lady. She's with Sean Combs, Beyonce, and Jay-Z, who came down here to take over the city with the
Motion to
Atlantic.
approve.
Second. All right, motion's been made by Mayor Pro Tem Foreman, second by Councilmember
And this
Hardy.
will cause
Any other
treason
discussion?
within our city council.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right.
I just want to make a quick comment, Mayor. What an awesome partnership this is. What a great investment in our community. Repurposing that really great piece of property, those wonderful structures that are really beautiful, but just underappreciated and dilapidated. So bringing that part of the city back to life is just so exciting. And the partnership that's making it happen is even more exciting. The way our community is working together is a really big deal. So thank you to everybody here who's involved.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it. We're looking forward to getting it done. I think it's going to be a huge, it's going to look beautiful as people go.
Now we're gonna pause, PJ, because forget something looking beautiful when you're destroying the local community to do it. So that's why I put up treason laws. Treason in North Carolina is defined by the state constitution as levying war against the state or adhering to its enemies by giving them aid and comfort. That'll be them on here right now talking about giving themselves housing, right? Comforting themselves, right? They moved down here from other states and now they entered themselves into our government. Convictions require testimony from 2 witnesses to the same avert act or confession in open court. Federal law regulation treason, 18 U.S.C. SS 2381, right? Takes precedence, define it as acting against the U.S., right? Clearly them coming down here because Safe Section 9 turned into RAD, which our housing development turned into RAD, and packed housing, which did away with free public housing with them coming over here to be able to live for free. However, they created a system within our system which put the local government, put the local people in an uproar against the college, because this is how the college students, these are all college students on this city council. All these probably are East Carolina graduates who are not local, because I don't know any of them personally. And usually North Carolina, Greenville is so small, you know everybody. Now, the names of these places, it is how fast they came in and built up our city during COVID while they was killing the local community, right? This was them going to war with us through those protests and replacing us. And this is why it's hard to find an apartment. Y'all seen me go through the process with trying to look for these apartments and put in applications just to have my email blocked so I won't be able to go and check and find out an update. So when you have college kids controlling the internet because they chose to choose internet, they're building up all these houses that the local community can't afford. So if you get receiving disability or some type of income like that, you're clearly not going to be able to afford any of these units that they're building up this quick. I mean, Greenville had an explosion that is really a war on the local people. That's why it's been so hard for me and my daughter to get started, right? This is war on us, an act of treason within our government. Now, this is New York, where Miss Patricia does a lot of her work at. And mind you, see how their housing is in crumbles right now. So what they did was they started moving down in what they call flash mob in the city. Right? This is New York. This is Save Section 9, the organization we went to Washington for to help with affordable housing, health care, and things like that, working on the jobs bill, things like that, right? We clearly see that our system has been infiltrated, especially when I'm used to paying rent and can't even afford to get a house at 44, and I've been out on my own since I was 16, paying rent with no assistance, right? Now, they're knocking down all of these units here in New York. NYCHA is what they call it. They're knocking all of these units down, right? Where are those people going to go? They're going to come here to North Carolina and sit in these city council seats. And this is what we have to be aware of as we're dealing with these new people coming to our city, taking over our city, and putting the local community out, right? Or at least following Coletta to keep Coletta out. You live with Snapchat Queen and AI Chatbot friends, and this is Greenville City Council showing you how they've came in our city and took over our city. So what I did, family, I asked Google, do city council members native hold on, I've said it wrong, but I'm basically asking it, do city council members have to be native to Greenville? And it's telling us that based on current public records, some Greenville City Council members are long-term residents, right? Long-term residents means they came and never left, right? Or natives, right? That means the people like me who are from here. While others move to the area often for education or professional reasons, right? The city council consists of 5 district members, 1 at-large member, and a mayor or elected to 2-year terms. Now, see, this is something new to North Carolina because we never had that before. So let's Google and see how many at-large members we had. Based on the current structure of Greenville City Council, there is 1 at-large designated, 1 at-large council member elected citywide, and addition to 5 district-specific members and a mayor. While there has only been one specific at-large seat in recent election cycles, the following individuals have held this position or competed for it in recent history. See, Miss Patricia Willis is the first name that comes up there. She's from this year. Will Bells in 2003, right? And Brian Meyer Hoffers. Excuse me if I say your name wrong. I apologize about that. But notice this is just recent to North Carolina with these 3 right here, right? And look at the years. And that's why I say, when did they start coming in, changing the system to buy seats? The city utilizes a nonpartisan system with 2-year term for these positions, right? Nonpartisan. Let's see what that word is. Nonpartisan democracy, also no party democracy, is a system of representative governments or organizations such that universal and periodic elections take. So basically, somebody who doesn't support any party, they're there to make stuff happen, pretty much. This is better. The term nonpartisan may be used to describe a group or individual that does not expressly support one political party or candidate over the other. That's somebody like me. I'm there for who is there to help benefit as a whole, not get into government and just only think about yourself and forget that you have a team, that you have a whole city to take care of as a plan, right? So let's see where they are at this city council meeting. I just wanted to show y'all some of this as we're talking, to give you a little history of where these people come from and how much of this is benefiting the city with them building all these units that nobody can afford outside.
Go over the, what do we call it now? We don't call it the 10th Street Connector. What do we call it now? The Leo Jenkins, Andrew Best Bridge over there. It's going to be a showstopper on that side. So we're excited to be able to see that completed. So thank you for the investment. And thank you for all the economic development that site is going to be able to produce for our area.
I think it will be moving in the right direction for some responsible economic development, as it will serve the citizens surrounding it, who we have roughly 25% of our population that are making $25,000 or more or less. And with that being said, having the opportunity to learn some new skills and new trades and making that accessible. Excited about that.
So basically, she's saying that people is only making less than $25,000 a year down here. And these units, they clearly can't afford them. So they're trying to find ways to meet in the middle, I guess.
Thank you very much. Move on to item number 3.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 3, Greenville Police Department 2025 Statistical Overview Presentation. I now call for our Greenville Police Chief, Richard Tyndall, for the presentation.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm here to provide a 2025 statistical review for the police department. I do like to remind everybody as we go through these numbers that they don't always tell the whole story. Every time we seize a gun, every time we stop a car, there's no telling what we prevent through that action. So I like to just remind everybody of that. But what it does show is a clear commitment on part of our officers to their commitment to public safety and the work they put into hearing our community's concerns every single day. They focus their efforts where they hear the problems are, and as you'll see, we use real-time crime analysis and crash data to make sure our officers are addressing crimes and crashes effectively. The review will include vehicular crashes and pedestrian injuries, Part 1 crime statistics, shots fired, and gun-related cases, and our approaches to and opportunities to address community issues. We'll start with vehicular crashes and pedestrian injuries. As y'all know, that's a huge problem in our city. We hear about it almost daily. I know y'all hear about it because I hear from you. So it is one of our priorities. If you've ever heard me speak, I talk a lot about traffic safety. This year we had 4,532 reportable crashes. That's up just a little bit. It's less than 1% from the previous year. But as you can see, the 5 years that are represented here, it's actually a smaller increase than what we've seen. Just for a little definition, a reportable crash is a crash that involves $1,000 worth of property damage or personal injury. So that's, there's a lot more crashes out there, but these are just reportable crashes. That dollar amount, by the way, hasn't changed since before I was a police officer, so most of you can understand that $1,000 in damage during a crash is very easy to get to. It's a lot of them. So, fatal crashes. 2025, we had 7 fatal crashes, up 2 from the previous year. But it's actually a little bit below our 5-year average. We typically look at a 5-year average. It's kind of like stocks. It's really difficult sometimes.
Now, I told you that they have a lot of car accidents down here. This city council with building these housing units this fast is not considering the danger they're putting the local people in with trying to collect money off how building up this city this fast. How many criminals are you bringing here with them using accidents, right? Tearing up our vehicles, right, to get insurance money. This is what he's talking about. City council act like they have no clue about.
From year to year to tease out what change in policy or whatever, or
Now, mind you, 3 of these accidents of these 7s is my vehicles that they hit. The BMW, they hit the Honda, the BMW, and the Pathfinder. Out of those 7, those 3 of those are my cars.
just in a community. So we look at a 5-year average generally. And our fatal crashes did increase by 2, and that's consistent with what we've seen across Pitt County. The fatal crashes across the county were also up. Pedestrian injuries are a big one. You can see we had a small increase from 2024, up 4. The pedestrian injuries continue to be a significant public safety concern. As you see, this follows a very similar trend to reportable crashes. So there was a dip, if you saw in the previous slide. In 2022, our reportable crashes were way down. You see the same thing here, and then they just kind of steady.
Now, mind you, Greenville has a history of them hitting and run, hitting people, killing them, and keep moving. This is what he's talking about. This is why I say they have traffic rushing to you. So then as they're building these housing developments, they're not taking in consideration traffic and how much traffic is coming towards you just trying to cross the street. I got a lot of people that died that I know through a hit and run. Somebody hit them and kept going because they're not taking the local people. They're taking the college more serious than they are the local community.
The increase from there. I think that's probably a factor of increased traffic in the city, increased students at ECU, but I think that's a big part of what we're seeing here.
Notice he said increase at ECU. That college is our problem, and the city council members don't want to acknowledge that because they come from that college. They're working with the college. That's how they're getting their money in the background.
This is a crash map with hot spots on it. You can see here 4 locations that have been pulled out. These are our most significant crash areas: Greenville Boulevard near Evans Street, East Arlington Boulevard and Greenville Boulevard, 10th Street at Greenville Boulevard, and Fire Tower at Charles Boulevard.
Now, those are the places where they built those apartments up. I mean, they're building apartments in the middle of apartments. It makes no sense of how bad they're cramming apartments. I mean, they're basically turning North Carolina into New York, where they're building inside of the cracks. If it's a crack inside of your house, between your house and your neighbor's house, they're going to come and build a house in between that house. This is how fast they're building North Carolina, and City Council is not taking none of this into consideration. This is why this goes back to treason.
We'll talk about it a little bit later when we start talking about our enforcement efforts. We use this data to make sure our officers are in the locations where we know we need to conduct traffic enforcement to make sure we're impacting crashes. It's not just they don't just show up at a place and start doing traffic enforcement. We use data to make sure that they're in the places that they can have the biggest impact on crashes. In summary, you see we had a less than 1% increase in reportable crashes in 2025. We've continued our partnership with the Traffic Safety Task Force. That was something you heard in the session earlier today. The Traffic Safety Task Force involves Greenville Police Department, the City of Greenville Traffic Engineering, ECU Police Department, ECU Health, and North Carolina DOT. And then there's other people that come and visit with us every once in a while. They've been a very good, big help in making sure that some of the problems that we're trying to address, they're also trying to address the infrastructure. The delineators were one of the things that came out of the task force at one time. We will continue our enforcement efforts and continue public safety announcements to address violators and educate pedestrians. One of the biggest things that we'll be focusing on now will be 10th Street, making sure we're getting the message out about the change in the speed limit that's coming about, and also making sure they understand all the pedestrian crosswalks that are in that particular area. That's been one of our focus areas over the past month or so.
I noticed that one of the intersections was Greenville Boulevard and Evans Street. I get a lot of complaints about when you're heading south off of Evans Street. I don't know, you know how the lane shifts over there? And I don't know if that's going to be correct. You can answer this question, but I don't know if they've identified that intersection, if they'll make modifications to that intersection once they start the widening project for Evans Street. My hope is that maybe they'll take into account some of the issues that we're having in that intersection that will help some of the pedestrian accidents that are taking place there. Fingers crossed.
I don't know about that. I do know that, that would be an engineering question. I do know that Memorial Drive had a shift that was similar to that, I think at Dickinson Avenue, that they fixed because it was it did cause some crashes there, so that could be a potential fix there. That'd be my counterpart, Lisa. I'll leave that
I
up to
thought
her.
you were an engineer.
No, I wish.
We have 9 locations around the city that have been identified for immediate improvements between the city and DOT. Unfortunately, that's not one of them, but we will follow up on that.
I'm wondering though, there's probably going to be some shifts, I would think, probably at that intersection as they go on it.
As they expand
Greenville
our
Boulevard and Evans right there. 'Cause that was one of the hot spots, and I noticed that.
So, yes, there's going to be a wide shift in the right-of-way there with the Evans project. So that may be encompassed into that, but we will follow up.
All right, so we'll move from crashes to our traffic stop information. This is traffic stops since 2021. As you can see, we stopped 29,348 cars last year. And that was a direct result of what we hear throughout the community. Everybody almost consistently at community meetings asks me to do traffic enforcement. It is a consistent thing that we hear throughout all the meetings.
Now look at these numbers, family. Make this number make sense, right? And look how fast this number grew. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 5 years, right? This how bad they packed our city in, family. This how bad they packed our city in.
That I'm saying I can't tell you one that I went to and somebody didn't bring up traffic safety.
I mean, when they don't have their safety under control, but you right steady having meetings on bringing more apartment units and more people to this city, you got to make the city start making sense, fam. You got to start bringing grown people like the cops here because their life is at risk right now, right? They're the ones who have to deal with getting out of their cars and wondering what they got to encounter out here. We used to know each other outside. And then when you bring in that many people at that amount of time and nobody know each other, everybody chasing a dollar, nobody thinking about nobody's safety. Soon as you get a dollar, you got somebody in your background stealing it. What can we do with this, family? This is right here is an act of whole terrorism going on with our city. With the police telling them, baby, look at the rates of the accidents in this city, the stops that we're making as cops. Look how many times we got to put our life at risk, 29,000 times at risk just stopping a vehicle. They're worried about money, packing in the city with money, but you're not worried about the safety of the community as a whole, the city as a whole, not just your local community, but as a whole. Who are these people bringing in, right? Who are they attached to, right? And where do they come from? And how long do they plan on being here? How do they plan on contributing to the city where it's beneficial to the city?
Safety concerns.
And Chief, not to steal your thunder, that is also, we got to reiterate, when you see that increased number, we actually did not step up the enforcement probably till the fourth quarter of the calendar year. So I mean, that's.
Yeah, it was the last half of the year, and that's where we started using the data-focused approaches to traffic safety to make sure that we don't want to just go out there and do traffic stops. We want to make sure the traffic stops are impactful. Either they're impacting traffic safety or crime some way. And that has been our approach, is to make sure we're putting our officers in the place they need to be to make sure that they have the biggest impact on crime. Yeah, you can see that was a 52% increase from the previous year. A lot of that is the effort of our traffic safety unit. They use the data-driven approaches, but also our zone commanders. They're the ones out in the community that are hearing the complaints, and they know where their problems are, and they ask their police officers to go out there into particular areas to make sure that they, again, are addressing community concerns. These are traffic stop hotspots. Again, if you remember back previously, we talked about the crash hotspots. These are closely correlated to that. 10th Street and Greenville Boulevard, 10th and Evans. That whole 10th Street is a focus area for us because of the pedestrians. We get a number of speeding complaints all up and down 10th, but you see there's a section of 10th where it kind of drops off and then it moves up to East Carolina. That's where a lot of that's being done. 10th Street at Evans, Memorial near Airport, Memorial at 3rd, and then Evans at Arlington Boulevard. So some of those are not specific intersections that are being targeted, but they're corridors that are being targeted. Mr. Robinson and I spoke earlier about Arlington Boulevard. Arlington Boulevard is one of our focus corridors because we know there's a number of intersections along that road that have high crash rates at it. So that is one of the places that we make sure that we put our officers. And in addition to that, we hear a lot of speeding complaints along Arlington Boulevard. But that's just one example. This is traffic stops by the numbers. So these are, again, kind of intersections. It doesn't mean that all the traffic enforcement was done at these specific intersections. It was near there, and these are the locations they kind of used as a reference. And again, most of those, if you look at them, are going to be relatively near a school zone. So school zones are one of the big things that we focus our efforts on to make sure that people are not speeding in school zones day and morning and evening. We'll move into Part 1 crimes. So Part 1 crimes are broken into violent and property crimes. Violent crimes will include homicide, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. Property crimes will include burglary, larceny, and auto theft. This is our 5-year crime comparison. You can see from 2024 to 25, our violent crime had a 0% change, and our 5-year average was a 9% decrease. 2024 in property crimes was a 13% decrease, and over the 5-year average was a 6% decrease for a overall 12% reduction from 2024, and over our 5-year, it was a 7% reduction. That's again, that is a testament to the officers that are out there doing the traffic enforcement that we're asking them to do, but also the crime prevention we ask them to do, and the community engagement. They're out there doing what we ask them to do. Just a little bit of context to some of the most serious crimes up there. In terms of our homicides, all our victims were acquainted with the suspects. 6 of the deaths were.
Now, we know there's probably a lie right there with them numbers he just showed us, because I got plenty of videos, and I know people, plenty of folks that had their stuff broken into. And crime is on the rise out here because they gang stalk, and they targeting individuals one at a time, tearing up their stuff. So we know that's a lie with them trying to put them numbers up there. Greenville grew too fast for the number to be going down and not up. Especially with them using their cars as weapons now to get insurance scam money.
Were attributed to gunshot wounds. 2 of them were other means. And I think that's important to hear because a lot of the things that we hear from our community, they're worried about random crimes. And this is just proof that most of these crimes are not random. They're between people who know each other. You've heard me say, I can't sit in somebody's living room and intermediate between them. I can't, if 2 people were fighting, we can't always be there with them. So that's a place where we need the community to step in and help us out with that. The important one on the rapes and sexual assaults, 96% of those cases involve parties who knew each other. That's just important contextual information. It doesn't make it.
Now, mind you, this is just what's reported because where we from in our neighborhood, a lot of people don't call the police. They take care of their own situation in their own hands. We got to protect ourselves from these people, so we don't call the police. They call the police on us when they start harassing us and it don't work out in their favor. This is when they get those calls. But usually, y'all know in a black folk neighborhood, black folk do not call the police.
Any better, but it's important to know that these aren't just random crimes. A lot of times they're between people who know each other. Crimes broken down by the zone. So we have 3 zones, east, south, and west. The east and the south zone both saw an increase in violent crimes, but all the zones saw a decrease in property crimes. We talk about the increases, and we do.
Now, he must be talking about these new apartments that they built up because as I'm going around through the local city of Greenville, boy, we see that the local city is empty. So it probably ain't no crime over here because everybody on the outskirts of Greenville, what we used to call the county parts of Greenville, but Greenville expanded so much. Y'all know this is what white folks report. This ain't what the black folks report in our neighborhood. So remind y'allself when you watching and listening to these numbers that he talking about the reports that the white folks report. Because you know in our neighborhood it don't go down like that. We're gonna keep reality with what they talking about.
You have to remember sometimes the numbers are fortunately relatively small, so the percentages look really big. But this is a 24 to 25 comparison. And this is a Part 1 crime map. So this basically is a representation of where all the crimes in the city occurred. You heard me talking about the traffic corridors earlier in our enforcement. You can see that most of our crime also occurs along these major corridors. So that is one of the things that makes our traffic enforcement a big part of our crime prevention strategies, because if we're doing traffic enforcement in these corridors, we also should have an impact on crime. This is a Part 1 crime map. This includes all the Part 1 crimes, violent and property crimes. As you can see, the 2 red spots there are Greenville Boulevard near Landmark and 10th Street near Portertown. Those numbers are going to be strictly driven by larcenies. So, one of the things that we can say is most of our crime rate is driven by our Part 1 crime rate is driven by larcenies in Greenville. So now we'll move on to shots fired and gun-related cases. This is our priority from the Greenville Police Department. We put a lot of effort into making sure that we are preventing and doing everything we can to address gun-related crimes. This is a shot spotter map that shows, it's a heat map that shows the areas of the most intense shot spotter alerts. If you know that all of Greenville was not included in the shot spotter area, so this is a small piece of Greenville. But you can see the blown up pieces there. You'll see kind of Pitt and Brown is the largest one there. You got kind of near Moywood up at the top, and then you have some around 3rd and Meade in the top right corner of it.
Now, mind you, he naming all of the black communities where they got the shotter cameras at the shot spotter cameras at where they see the gunshots, because I told you they taking and killing off the local community. And that's why the cameras are only up around the black community and not the new communities that they built up. That's why these reports won't be right.
We have 491 shot spotter calls in citywide last year. 201 of those were shot spotter alerts in the shot spotter area. This is a weapons violation heat map. As you can see here, it kind of correlates with the shot spotter information. Pitt and Brown is going to be our biggest problem for weapons violations, and we had 258 at that particular location.
Now, mind you, you gotta pay attention to how they got these shots fired camera up in our community, right? And this is how they get our data, but they don't got it up in every community, like he just said, where they built these new communities in. They only tracking the local community with these cameras, right? They don't have the real reports of the violence up here because we already see that where is all of Greenville at? I'm from Greenville, and I'm running into people like scarcely. I mean, we all having the same conversation, like where everybody at and what is they doing with these new houses and all this stuff. I mean, I've been out on my own since I was 16 years old, and to get to Greenville and can't get an apartment, I got to get a child to help me find an apartment. Y'all got to help me make sense in Greenville.
So, and again, it's not just that intersection, it's the area right around it. Firearm spotted numbers, you can see here, we took into our custody 819 firearms last year. That's a huge number. 16 of them were found. Yes, we found guns with no person attached to it sometimes. So even taking those out, we took in.
And what he's talking about with those guns that he found are the guns that they using out here on the local community, following us around, knowing where to pick them up at. This is them committing war on the local community by hiding guns and stuff outside, coding them with the glass and the codes with the cones and track marks to them, and got us tracked down because everywhere I go, I got a track mark that's leading to where they know me or my daughter gonna be at. How? I'm being followed by people from New York, Texas, Baltimore, and Florida, and I'm in North Carolina. How? Car accidents everywhere. This man talking about that. How? We all talk about this, family.
And over 800 guns. Again, that goes back.
And mind you, these kids got guns that's bigger than the police department. That's something that you got to be worried about. Your child walking out that door and know how to go walk to a gun that he talking about they finding on these streets, but your child know how to get to them. You have no clue what's going on with your child because your child been recruited. Like Diddy said in my other video, they control the minds of our kids. Whether they play what they playing on their video game, what they see on their computer screen, and how they wear their clothes. This why when you see them down here, they got their clothes on. You see them carrying their pocketbook. Each pocketbook tell you what group they with. Their hairstyle tell you what group they with. The jewelry they wear tell you what group they with. So you're dealing with multiple gang units that move down here on us. And they'll even use their kids to take somebody out because they feel like the kid gonna get less charge or no charge.
To the importance we put on gun violence and making sure we're doing everything that we can prevent gun violence. And remember, these are illegally possessed or somehow illegal guns. These aren't just guns we're taking from people. They're illegally possessed guns. Our continued areas of focus will be static and dynamic neighborhood patrols. That's one of the most important things that we can do. It's a way for us to be able to engage our community. If they see our officers riding around, they see police officers out there, it gives us an opportunity to build relationships with people. The biggest part of what we do is based on our zone theory. We assign officers to an area and we try to keep them there as long as we can because that gives them the opportunity to build relationships and not just be a passing face, somebody who you might see for a month and then they're gone. It gives them an opportunity for us to engage people on a real level and not just be somebody who you see one day and not the next. So that's important to us. We will continue our data-driven traffic enforcement. Again, we don't just go out there with a shotgun approach. We make sure our officers are where they need to be to have the biggest impact on safety in our communities. We will continue to collaborate with our law enforcement partners. We'll do saturation patrols based on criminal intelligence.
Now, I got a problem with that one right there because people got a key to your car and your home, and they have access to it through an Arab store out here. Anytime you go to an Arab store and they have a thing on their window saying that they can make any key, and I'm sitting out in my car watching somebody unlock my door from another car while I'm sitting in my car. I have no clue where they at, but they're locking my car door while I'm sitting in the car. When I leave my vehicle and come back to my vehicle, things are missing out of my vehicle with cops circling me. So how are you helping somebody who's clearly been targeted? And they know that I'm being targeted. Now, we were very close with our police officers. We know our police officers, and that's when they came in. I told y'all they bought 6 police departments here where you don't know the officers that you're engaged with. So that's why they're able to come in like Espinosa did and harass me. Who's going to hold him accountable for that? He feels like he comes down here with power as the police. Right? So when you got a group of people come down here, hire themselves in the police task, following you around, knowing that you're being harassed because some people in their department are the ones who is doing it, what do you do about that? Y'all put in the comments and tell me what are the steps you take when I'm showing you evidence of everything this man is talking about, what they're talking about on this city council meeting. How they came in and created treason on the local community just by the officer telling us how many car accidents alone this city is in, right? With them having a fake crime scene department following you around to give you the ticket and not them, with them setting up and staging accidents. Then we have these spotter shot cameras that's supposed to identify when shots are fired. But these kids have access to weapons that the police department don't even got access to. We know this because we live in these communities. We see people come into our community, start trouble, unalive somebody, and then they're gone. How many innocent people gonna lose their life until we realize that all money ain't good money? Especially when your children have access to these guns this man is talking about that he's finding out here on these streets. Those are your children laying those guns out there to find them with each other, baby. I care about these kids. And when we've come to a society where money is more important than a child's safety, a human safety, because we're chasing building and dollars. Nobody is smiling outside anymore. Nobody has time to go and, enjoy life because you're dealing with people only in your face begging for money or with a fake smile or ready to tear you down because they're not really genuinely happy for it. We had those things before these people got here in these communities. Everybody's chasing dollars. Everybody's chasing dollars.
Intelligence, those are mainly related to whatever intelligence we get related to criminal activity. Meaning if we recognize something in the community that's coming up, we have somebody telling us, hey, these 2 guys have been fighting, they've been going back and forth. We need to do a little bit of intervention with them. We'll make sure that our officers are there. Continued eradication of illegal narcotics. Continued education on responsible gun ownership. It's one of the things that I try to talk a lot about. In all transparency, I'm a big, gun proponent, to be honest with you. But I think that part of that means that you have to be a responsible gun owner. That is the most important part. What we hear a lot is people, and we have a significant number of crimes where people are leaving guns in their cars and leaving them unlocked, and people are stealing guns from there. We have to do better as gun owners. We have to make sure that we're securing our guns properly and we're not letting those guns get into the hands of somebody that doesn't need to have it.
And see, See, what this officer has to overstand is when in our community, it sounds good when he reading it to your own paperwork until he got to get out there in that field, right? Because when you impacted the city with this many people that don't know each other, and in our community, you have the blacks against the Africans, against the Jamaicans, against the Caribbeans, against the Mexicans, against the Arabs, right? The Venezuelans and all these new people that they packed into this one city who come down here with this racist, I'm better than you attitude because I have a job that pays me this and you get paid this, so I'm better than you mentality, right? That's gonna cause a bump head. That's why we as a local community have to remind city council when y'all packing our city down with all these apartments and people that's not from here that's coming in and being in competition with the local community, whereas they gotten into the jobs and they're locking the local community out of the jobs. My daughter went to school, they took her out of school by changing her residency. So somebody may be using me and my daughter's social security number and information at this point where we can't get an apartment because now we have to deal with people stealing identification that they're not even going to focus on up here on this meeting as they're talking about the crimes that's going on out here in the city. There's something you got to think about. People stealing your mail to obtain your information, putting us out of our homes so that they can replace us in these homes using our birth certificate, social security card information. We gotta be aware of this stuff as he's talking, because a lot of these things city council ain't taking into consideration as they packing our city down.
And reduction of juvenile-related crimes. That is one of our hot topics right now, trying to deal with juvenile-related issues. And we will continue to work with those that are in the juvenile-related world to help us come up with some plans to address that.
Now the problem with the juvenile, like I said, is they bought their kids down here to go to war. So they're using their children because their children would get less time than they would. And it's sad to say, but we watch this on a daily basis where the grown folks send the children to do the job. Then you move people that's down from the city to come down here who are already running from a high crime area. What do you think they're going to do with this crime? Their children are not going to get better. They're going to get worse. We teach our kids to be respectable, go to school and get a job, and make a way for yourself to be self-sufficient. They have a problem with that. And that's what these people have to understand as they're bringing these people into our city, as they're thinking about the crime and different things that's going on. You have a bunch of children out here that you move into a city that come from a big gang city anyway. So they're going to bring that criminal gang unit activity here. And they're kids who start in these gangs, not grown people. Kids start these gangs.
Community policing, to be successful as a department, it will be extremely important in 2026 that we have engagement from all segments of the community in making a statement against violent crime in the city of Greenville. Although we as a law enforcement agency are tasked full-time in maintaining safety and security, it is imperative that everyone recognizes the impact of crime in our community and takes a stance against it. Questions?
Any questions?
See, they ain't got no questions for him because he's bringing
Just make a
reality
comment.
about the crime.
Chief, for those out in the public, I know you and I have had many conversations, that when you have these wrecks on your highways where people are speeding, it tends, number one, there's more property damages because the speeds of the vehicles are higher, and number two, there tend to be more injuries. So the raw data number of your accidents, the data for the amount of property damages, and the amount paid out for personal injuries, those are driving factors in how the insurance rates for people who live in Pitt County pay for their motor vehicles.
Right.
So last time I checked, if you'd gone to Craven County and gotten the same amount of coverage for a vehicle in Craven, they were 40% less than what you could get in Pitt County.
Come on now.
So the gist of this is it's important that we continue to do this and be aggressive about it, because not only does it make our roads safer, it also will help lower our insurance rates for motor vehicle in Pitt County. And I know you know this well, that a lot of times in these routine traffic cases, you find evidence of other crimes that with guns and weapons and drugs and those kinds of things. So the routine traffic case does a lot of good in the Pitt County area. And you say you're targeting the hot spots because you and I just had this conversation. Now you showed me your map, and it's exactly what you and I were talking about. So thank you for sharing these numbers, and thank you for doing the targeted enforcement, also getting involved in the community, because that's important, because if they're familiar with the face in the community that they can trust, they're more apt to actually go to you and help you actually enforce the law and target those who are the problems for the particular communities. And I appreciate you doing that community engagement.
I would just like to elevate the conversation with juvenile justice. We had some discussion, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, as it relates to the capital improvement plan, and just want to reiterate the need to have some balanced capital improvement opportunities in West and South Greenville and north of the river. Where there's investment, then we don't have to worry about so much enforcement. So just want to elevate that again.
Now I told you it's about money. How now they're getting ready to figure out, see the greed look. The greed look, money. How do we make money off this now, right? So now they're getting ready to try to figure out how to make money off these children. I mean, look at the greed. I mean, you can see the greed look.
Any comments, questions? Thank you, Chief. Appreciate all that you do in the department to do to keep us safe. Thank you.
Now, this is a long video, but this is very important, family, that we pay attention to these city council meetings for this purpose. I'm gonna cut it right here because I ain't gonna do this whole video. It's already an hour into it. Yeah, I don't own the rights to this video audio. It's for learning purposes only, fair use agreement. But family, it's very important that you know what's going on in your city, especially when I'm showing y'all all these videos of what's going on around me. And it's more than me that is happening to. By them bringing all these people into this city, packing it with units on top of units on top of units. But where do you go to get the apartment? How do you get access? And this is the next question City Council maybe can answer for us. With them building these units, how do we get access to these units? If I'm clearly showing you all the trouble I'm having, and this is all live. You live with Snapchat Queen, the AI chatbot friends. Y'all put some comments on what y'all think about some of what they're saying in the comments. If you agree, if you disagree, what do you see going on in the city around you? Let's talk about it. I'll be back. I'll be back. Diddy Digger, your girl right there. This is Sean Diddy Combs' girl that they bought in office down here to follow Coletta around. And here come the haircut. I told you they trying to take my hair out. So they got them wearing braids now to look like, they got their women wearing braids to look like locks. So they trying to take my hair out. So this is her trying to goddamn code with that witchcraft, black magic. This is what they call black magic, family. When they got a black person working in office following you around using your government office. Now, everything they talked about today, they had the police come up here and talk about the car crashes and things like that, right? All the things I've been reporting on my page and showing y'all evidence on that we could clearly see. I'll be back, Sean Combs. We're going to find out how many females, how many bag ladies, we call these day bag ladies, how many bag ladies you got in this city council right now? Coding. I'll be back.